And once we get a few more people in the call, then we'll kick off the call officially. All right, well, I'll tell you what, it's 2 or 3 minutes after the hour. Let's go ahead and kick off this call, and then I'll keep watching for guests to join. But Tom Gardner, let me turn the call over to you so you can get things rolling.
Okay, good day, everybody. Happy to be back again. I have to admit that this monthly period just flies right by. I can't believe here we are again. It seems like yesterday we were back together. Today we've got a few items on our checklist. Of course, we're working hard to prepare the December release, but we've got some important work to do between now and then. We have kind of a flurry of activity that's developed within the community relative to Daxko, for Daxko associations and the API connection. A lot of different information coming together, and what we're trying to do is develop a common understanding of, for those that have been requested by Daxko to make an API change, is it always related to Group X Pro? We've got a little group activity that we're going to do to kind of get a feel for it, because we can, and I can speak on behalf of this community to Daxko and try to get some clarity there, and then ultimately try to move this in a direction that serves our needs more effectively. Then we'll talk about the December release, a little touch on Layout Builder to the extent that we can today. And then we'll wrap it up with sharing some thoughts on the upcoming meetings with the subject matter expert teams for design and strategy. So it's a focus meeting, and I look forward to connecting with you and getting your feedback as we move through today's discussion. Tom, I'll turn it back to you and Kylie, and let's get into Daxko and the API and how it might be related to Group X Pro, et cetera.
Great. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks so much. Good morning, everybody. I'm sure many of you, and if not many of you, somebody within your organization has received some forms of notification recently from Group X Pro regarding the API. We started seeing them come out for customers in the past, probably 3 months. And it was all very confusing and not easy to understand. So this is very specific to people who are using Group X Pro on their websites to present schedules. And one of the things that they are telling us is that some changes were made. So I was finally able about a week ago, Monday, to get on a conversation with the right people at Daxko and to get a little bit more information from them. And it looks as though there are going to be some pretty significant changes to the Daxko version of the Group X API. And I realize that language is a little bit confusing. That is happening. They're hoping by the end of the year, but I have confirmation that they're willing to be flexible with us to do that. So one of the first things they're asking for us to give us the ability to negotiate this is a few questions that we don't have data on. And so what Tom's going to do is he's going to put up a little poll in the system for us that I would really appreciate if you'd answer for me. Just a couple quick questions. If you're using Group X Pro on your website, and if you are using it, the question is, how is it being implemented? Right now, there are 3 different ways those are being implemented. Either you're using the OpenY schedules, and therefore it would be implemented via the API. You might be using the embed, which is the set look version of it that comes from it, or you might just be linking out. So if it's the embed, please click on that. If it's API, click on that. If it's other, just click on that. And then if you could submit those answers to us, it really helps us with the negotiation. So what we know right now, and this is literally everything I know, so I'm going to be completely transparent with you as much as I can. One is they are going to sunset the APIs that we were using for OpenY, and they literally call it the OpenY APIs. Those are going to be sunsetted. The reason they're sunsetting is because they don't allow a certain level of tracking that Daxko promises. Those APIs have been available for free for 4 years, and they will be sunsetting them. There's nothing we can do to stop that particular action. They're going to be replacing them with new APIs. Those APIs will come with an additional cost. This is where Tom and I are trying to work with Daxko to create a preferred pricing option, or see if there is an option there for YUSA to help keep that cost as low as humanly possible for people using that API. We've seen the API already. It's not that big of a lift to transition over, but it would give you much better tracking and information through those particular API calls. They also, Daxko said they're very willing to work with us, provided we can tell them the situation of where different Ys are and where they are within this journey of transitioning to different places. There's options will be available to you. You can go to the embed, or thank you, Mario, the iframe, you can call them both things, with no change or cost to your package. That one will still remain free to you. Or you can go to the existing schedules, and we're working through what that implementation would cost. Daxko does not, at this moment, have not told us what the pricing is. So you can ask your partners, but none of the partners know. They haven't given us that information yet. And we're at the very, very early stages with the YUSA team and the Daxko Group X Pro team to figuring out what a partnership could look like. And if there is a willingness to make that happen. Some of the information we need are those sort of polls and quizzes, which will help. So the more people we have that are utilizing the system, the more negotiating power we'll have collectively to try to help that out. Is there any questions specific to that? Because I know it's a hot button topic right now for those who use Group X Pro, and I realize I don't have all the answers, but I did want to address it and let everybody know that we're aware of the change, and that there is conversations in place to try to support you guys in this journey to either move on to a new API or provide a different solution. I'm just quickly checking. Yes, it does. Andrii pointed out that yes, there is a new API that already exists, and it is in place for some Ys. So they have extended the connection. So we have seen that it's working, and we know that it can work. So we're not in that sort of introductory phase. But
yeah, so this is more like organizational thing and agreement thing, not technology, because technology is ready.
yes,
More
absolutely.
like Daxko is changing their agreement with every user.
Liz and Andrea, I see you both have your hands up.
So if I may, so this is only for API if you're using Group X Pro. It doesn't have anything to do with any of the more robust API for program access.
It doesn't.
Like that. Okay.
No, those are separate.
Yeah, I'm the one who's still dealing with the overall. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, there's a lot of different APIs, and I know this won't affect everybody, but it does affect a large volume of the population. Sorry, Liz.
No, you're all good. I think Betty just asked the same question I did. As someone who is not a Daxko client in terms of where Personify Y, but we use Daxko APIs and several different things. I think part of our challenge has been there's many APIs that Daxko has, and they connect to many different things, and keeping all that straight is quite frankly a giant headache. So yeah, as it interfaces with eGym, as it interfaces with our website, as it quite frankly, it pushes out to our digital signage as well. Like anything that could sort of streamline those, so how it presents in one platform would be how it presents in the other platforms, would be a tremendous step in the right direction. If YUSA has any kind of influence on that, it'd be fantastic, at least for us. So
absolutely. And I think the question that's still, so from historical context, last year they changed the APIs for the programs interface. This year they're changing the Group X interface. Based on that knowledge alone, it tells me that the eGym will eventually change, just because that seems like the logical sequential order that we're seeing. I have no other data or facts to support that, other than, you've seen enough digital updates to know that they kind of do them in a sequential order, especially when they're all owned and operated by the same company. So it's reasonable to assume that could be happening. Betty, so yeah, it may or may not. At the moment, we don't know the answer to whether it'll affect it, but that's where the conversations are taking us. And we wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the changes that are getting made, and that at the moment, there are things you can do. So the things you can do is you can contact Daxko, talk to your account representatives. If you don't want to wait, you can talk to them, talk to your account representatives, and they will give you guys individually the pricing for the new API. They won't give it to me, but they will tell you based on your specific needs. For us to get access, or for another digital partner to get access to the APIs, it is relatively quick. There's a contract you would have to sign. I did ask all these questions. They would give you, you would reach out to them, they'd give you the pricing. If you agreed to the pricing, you would sign a change of contract. Upon the contract being signed, within 10 days, Daxko tells me they can give you the new API key. Your digital agency then can work with you to update the API key. That's a relatively minor lift. That whole process could take up to a month, back and forth. So just to be conscientious of that as a conversation piece, because they're saying 10 days for contracts and about another 2 to 3, 4 days for the API key to come back. And then whatever time it takes from the internal process. If that is not within the budgeting cycle, not surprising, it may not be at this time of year, you can change over to the iframe or the embed at no additional cost at this moment. And that would buy you time as well. I don't anticipate you'll have to be forced into any changes, at least based on the conversation I had a couple weeks ago with Stephen Wright is the gentleman's name, up until probably the new year. That's what it sounds like. They haven't given me a firm deadline. Their wish was the new year, but they've not said anything in stone. Otherwise, you can wait for a little bit more conversations to take place. One of the things they've asked for YMCA to present with them is a rough number of how many Ys are utilizing this connection. And so the more people we can give feedback to, and the more numbers we can have, the better the negotiating power will be. So that would be the next step right now. Either wait for more information from us and YMCA, reach out on your own to your Group X Pro person, see what the pricing is from a negotiation perspective, start that conversation independently, move to the API, continue with linking or another version of that. So you do have options available to you. Okay. If there's no other questions, I think then we will be able to move on to the next topic, which is our layout builder, Tom.
Great. So I think Shelley, Andrii, and Alex were all going to present various aspects of our progress. Let's start with Shelley.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Shelley Goetz. I'm business analyst with ImageX, and I'm leading the project for moving YUSA into Layout Builder from paragraphs. So just to give you a high-level overview, Layout Builder is actually a really nice and intuitive way for you to be able to visually create and move content around in pages. Gives you a lot of flexibility that you're probably not seeing in your current site that might be causing some frustration on the administrative side for you, and as it comes to adding and managing content on your site. So one of the things that Drupal's done in more recent versions is created a module called Layout Builder that allows us to use component-based design and create very flexible open design pages that gives you a lot of interesting things out of the box. And what we've done to start this project is done a review of a lot of different Ys, both of large, medium, and small Ys of all different sizes. And we've started to look at the components that people are actually using on their site. I think currently right now we have over 90 available paragraphs, depending on the size of the Y. So I know that can be a pretty daunting way of being able to choose which components you want to use on your site. So what we've done is we've taken these 90 or so components, we've reviewed them, and we've decided that we can consolidate and reduce the number of components that are available to you, while also allowing you the same flexibility that you have within these large number of components. And we've located about, I would say, a little more than a dozen, probably about 15 or so page components that we're going to create for this first version of Layout Builder. So basically, we'll create these components for you. You'll be able to go in, select them, recreate a page that you have basically on your site that will match what you have existing, but it'll be a lot easier for you to both manage the page, create pages, and move content around on your own. So it'll give you both a lot of flexibility with design and also page components. And you won't have so much of a, I would say, onerous experience with trying to select different administrative components as you go ahead and move and create content on your site. And we are hoping that these, I think 15 or so components will be available after the December release. And I'm also hoping that it's quite possible on our next monthly call, we may have some actual visual designs to share back with the Ys. You guys can actually see a bit in person what some of this might look like. And it'll look very much like your site. And you'll have, again, a lot of flexibility, and there will be also training and other aspects we will provide to your team as well. So I didn't know if Andrii or Alex or anyone else wanted to speak at all to Layout Builder and what we're doing here.
Yeah, so let me add a couple of words. Thank you, Shelley. So I was helping YNorth with help of 5jars to build initial implementation of Layout Builder within their site. And currently I'm helping ImageX and 5jars to actually decouple or rebuild from scratch some of the components that I posted links to the respective projects at Drupal.org and in yCloud YUSA GitHub account. This is very technical, no need to go to these pages, but this just for your information that the foundational work is here. So we have projects in place, and now team is consolidating their effort to actually put the code into these projects. And after this, we are going to start some testing and hopefully demo to this group. From what Shelley just said, that what you will get in the first iteration, you'll get ability to build marketing pages with landing page content type, but it's in slightly different manner. So in terms of end user, you won't notice a lot of changes because we are going to somehow reuse the same designs, just slightly improved from them. But in terms of content managers, you'll see a lot of improvements. So we are going to switch from abstract way of building pages when you put some blocks to the form and you don't know how the end result will be displayed on the site. You can only preview it after you save the page. So in Layout Builder, you'll have drag and drop kind of interface where you'll see component, how it is going to look after you save the page. So treat this as a way of improving content management. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Shelley and Kylie, that our main expectation after first iteration is to receive feedback from you. Because we build this first list of components based on analytics from the current usage of components from OpenY. But second iteration is something that we'll be building on top of feedback from the first one. Like what is missed, what we should improve, and do not expect that with Layout Builder version 1, you'll be able to build anything. You'll be able to build some simple and medium complexity pages, but not more than that. So that's what we are targeting right now. Alex?
For those of, just one note,
okay.
for those of you guys who are not familiar with development builds, you move slowly and incrementally is the way that development builds do, so that we can make sure that we're making progressive, safe choices to websites. So the very first choice we're making is to introduce Layout Builder to the landing page content type. Once that is what they classify as quote unquote stable and able to be adopted with a very simple need, then we can start moving into next stage. So the second round, like all different versions, there'll be version A, version B, version C, and then eventually we'll get to a completed component. The next version would include additional potential content types, as well as feedback from the association at large saying, we tried this, but it's not working, or I'm finding I need this. And all that feedback you guys give us becomes incredibly critical into the way that we build these things out. So over 2023, you will see landing pages, program pages, childcare pages, all the additional branch or center content types. Yeah, they will all get added into the Layout Builder component. We will work as well on the front end visuals for that. The component structures will get larger. It all kind of goes through. So the first round is literally just to be able to build those very simple marketing pages, those general landing pages using Layout Builder. And I know it's hard to visualize it right now because we don't have direct visuals, but next they just are finishing up the designs this week for the first round. of which we'll be able to share with you of what some of those components will look like and the flexibility that you'll be able to see. So we should have some visuals for you next time we all get together. Sorry, I didn't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, I also wanted to add a little bit about the upgrade path. So with the upcoming release, you shouldn't really worry about the upgrade path and how your website will be upgraded and what will happen with your pages that are already on the website. So basically, you will have, once your website is upgraded to the latest version, you will have two experiences. The experience that you currently have, when you go ahead and create a page, selecting components and add them to the regions and basically layout. And at the same time, you will have new experience. So your old pages will live as is, but you can start creating new pages with new framework. And the decision will be up to you. You can go ahead and replace some of the old pages with the new pages that you will build using the layout builder, but you can just create new pages with the layout builder experience that will be added there. So, and you can gradually update the website as you go to the new experience, and no upgrade path is needed. And eventually, yeah, you can just replace all pages with new ones if you like new components more than the old ones.
Yeah, you've heard us refer to the term as lazy migration. That's what it is. It means you can kind of have both experiences running in tandem.
Yeah, and just to cover some probably security concerns, current components, current models that we use in OpenY that are not part of Layout Builder. We did a great job in the past to choose them, so they will be supported in Drupal 10. So it's not like you'll face with issue that next year in Q2, we will remove some of the components and now you need to be in a rush to rebuild all your pages in Layout Builder. No, we're still going to support all of these models in website services distribution. So, but just to build that roadmap for your content managers team, once you see that Layout Builder version 1 or version 2 is ready for all of your content, plan rebuilding that lazy migration, plan rebuilding those pages into Layout Builder, because at some point, I don't know when, but maybe 2024, we'll start remove some of these models that we have now as a foundation, because we need to ensure that we can move faster, which means that distribution should get smaller in terms of number of different dependencies that we currently make.
Awesome. If there's any questions on that, let us know. Will the old builder ever be discontinued? Is there a deadline for that? Lauren, yes, eventually, but you'll have a long lead up time for that. We would never discontinue it in a short period of time. You would have well over a year before we would discontinue it. And what discontinued in this means is unsupported. So you could stay on it indefinitely if you chose to, but it would be unsupported, meaning that future updates would not be happening to that version of it. And that's just to keep you progressing with the technology. Will Layout Builder, from William, will Layout Builder be available for use on all templates, or will it be limited for use for a single theme? Eventually, the themes will, which is part of what we're going to transition to in this conversation right now about the subject matter expert groups, but eventually one of the goals of the distribution, William, is to actually not have multiple themes. It'll be to have a single theme, a system that is flexible to work on all different themes. And so in theory, yes, it would be available to make your site look like whichever theme you're currently using. But the very first version of it will only be aligned to Carnation just because of getting it up and ready to go in the first amount. And then we'll work towards the next version will be more of the system-based process. Tom, I think we're ready to move on. That was the last question.
All right. I want to share some thoughts on the upcoming meetings of the design team and the strategic team, and start by thanking Kylie for her tireless effort to get all the volunteers together. Thank you, Kylie. It's couldn't have been easy. I know I made it difficult, but looking forward to these meetings. These groups, these subject matter expert groups, are an important opportunity to collaborate and ensure we are going in the desired direction. This is our opportunity to draw from within the group and help the group self-align around direction. Really important. I'm really excited about these meetings. Some thoughts on how it will work. For the upcoming design team meeting, we'll be focused on getting feedback on design initiatives. So it's going to be a focus group of sorts, a very important moment for the group to see different thoughts and ideas, see different ways of approaching the end, and ultimately that will shape the release and serves as a good example of how this design team will help shape the future of the distribution. The strategic session will be about understanding the needs and wants of the movement. So this is a big picture team, right, that will help shape the direction of where the community is headed. Ultimately, this group makes material improvements to help the community improve digital literacy via the distribution. For example, this group will help determine priorities for integrating things like marketing automation and virtual experience. To me, something I've been talking about a lot lately, virtual experience providing an important voice for the movement and an element, a very desirable element from a consumer perspective when it comes to learning about things and understanding, in this case, what the Y membership or maybe an opportunity to volunteer or do something larger with the Y has to offer. Then, of course, there's mobile and bringing the experience together and providing a convenient experience through the distribution to our membership, to our volunteers, ultimately to our community. So big thank you to all the volunteers, and more opportunities to volunteer and participate will come. Please keep in mind, for those that are joining us in this first round, no preparation is required. Bring your experience, bring your ideas, bring your thoughts, and I look forward to being part of the group. It's going to be an exciting meeting. I love these creative moments, and I love looking for the opportunity to get the community more deeply involved in the direction we're headed. So that's our update and where we're going with the SME groups. Kylie, if I didn't leave anything out, or if there's nothing else you want to add, then we can turn it back over to Tom for Q&A.
The only thing I want to add is for those who signed up or are offering support for the marketing initiative group, that invite will be coming out as well with the doodle poll. We focused on the first two ones, and then we'll get that one going here closer to the end of the month, but I have not forgotten about you, and that information is coming very, very soon. And I think we have almost full groups on all of the above. But as Tom said, this won't be the last opportunity for you guys to help out. Some of them are shorter term groups, some of them are longer term groups. And as those initiatives grow, we'll be coming back to you again to ask for your feedback and your thoughts. So the marketing one will come shortly, I promise. Tom.
All right, Tom S, Q&A.
Sure, yeah. If anyone wants to, raise your hand or just, let me know if you have questions, or I'm also looking at the meeting chat. If you'd, rather type out what you need, then yeah, go ahead and do so.
And you guys don't be shy. You're not normally.
We've already had way more talking than ever before, so I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah, they've been asking questions as they go. So there very well might not be stuff that you guys have. I will tell you this, the first time we're hoping to give you a demo is December. So if you can show up for December, that's a good one, because that's the one we're going to try to give you a visual at what some of this stuff looks like. And we'll have some visuals to show you. And I know everybody's excited about that. And next month we'll have potentially a sneak peek. We'll see how far we get development wise, but we might have a sneak peek. But December we'll have a demo for you.
Yeah,
Great.
probably we'll have some really quick demo with one or two components that could work.
Great. Marielle has a question.
Hey, Kylie, I know I said I would go offline with this, but it's back to Daxko since I didn't hit the button in time earlier. We are in bed right now. As you know, we're in the middle of a redesign and want to move away from that because the user experience is not great, and particularly for Safari users. So is there a plan to, if we have to stay on that because the Daxko pricing isn't favorable, and we are certainly outside of our budget cycle now, in a brand new fiscal year, what plans might we have to improve that experience for Safari users?
We've been going back and forth. I think it was with Central Maryland, who has been doing a lot of tweaks and trying to get improvements made to it as well. The new version is a little better. I can tell you guys that, because the new embed code actually looks a lot like schedules in OpenY. So it's a lot similar, except for it will always inherently have some, because it's an embed code, it always has inherently some mobile-based issues. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that, that we or OpenY or other partners have no control over. We can provide feedback to Daxko, truthfully, Mario, like really, we can provide feedback. We have no control over their development cycles. And so whether they take the feedback on those is very, very challenging for us to do. And there's very little I can guarantee to you that, or any agency can guarantee you that they can do. But the one thing I can say is if you speak with a collective voice, you speak with a louder voice, which is always helpful.
Yeah. And
Also, there is always a workaround for that. If you can manage to install Google Tag Manager to the embedded pages, then you can inject styles into that. That's how we fixed a bunch of issues with Personify, because the experience back in a couple of years ago was not great for mobile. We actually injected some styles to that. And let's say if you or your agency made that, then it's additional thing that could be provided for Daxko. Like, here is an improvement that we did, could you incorporate in your platform? And that is more chance to be implemented in their platform, because it's just copy paste of the code. It's not something that they should create from scratch. So think about injecting Google Tag Manager into their platform. This is, I don't know if Daxko provide this, but majority of third-party vendors are completely open to have analytics injected into their system.
That has not been my experience with Daxko.
No.
It's a great idea though, and it's totally the way we work together. But that hasn't been our experience with them.
No.
But as you said, Kylie, stronger together. And I
You
might
will have a stronger voice together. And it is, I've not had the same luck with Daxko. He does work with other partners for sure. We've had great success with Personify. But yeah, you'll have a stronger voice together, and they seem to be open to talking right now. So that's a good sign.
That's great. Thank you.
I will say, yeah, I've been working on that. And they've been very open to feedback. And while it doesn't always get incorporated instantaneously, most of what we've sent to them has gotten done.
That's
eventually.
encouraging.
Yeah.
And then, as you know, Kylie, we are also asking, well, how much would it cost? And, you know, we don't have any API calls to compare it to for Group X. We have a number of hits on our schedule, but is there an opportunity as a collective to negotiate that rate? Did I hear that?
It sounds like they're open to it. Right now, it's not what they said to me collectively was, it's not something they had considered before, but they were interested in the idea, provided that Tom Gardner took the helm from YMCA. He's obviously got a much bigger voice than we do. And so they were very much open to that as a conversation starter, which is new because we've not had that as a conversation starter. So anytime people are open to something to at least have the conversation, we're moving in a direction we haven't been previously.
Yeah, and I am certainly pleased to be able to get in front of Daxko. We've got a relationship partner there. I think this work, that we're discussing now, where we, have clarity and understanding what we want, and we have strength in numbers. I can bring that. I like Avi's comment. We can bring that to them and help affect a difference. And Mario, I'm kind of a new person, but in reflecting on, and talking to people that have a lot more experience at the Y than I do, right? It seems like there's an open-mindedness there that we can certainly test, right? And I've been very transparent with them in my discussions. I was like, look, you guys, you've got a horrible reputation when it comes to customer satisfaction. I don't know how you could own the market and have such dissatisfied customers at the same time. And they're okay with that, right? They're like, help us understand where we need to go. So we can challenge them. And I'm more than happy to be the voice of this community as it relates to affecting that change.
Yeah, absolutely. They haven't been willing to talk before, at least not to this level. So I'm optimistic, and I would encourage everybody to be optimistic. at this point. But if you want to know pricing, Mario, contact them, they'll give it to you. The only information they gave me is for those who use it for programs, the pricing is similar. That's what they told me.
Okay, and I think I shared what they gave me, which was the different levels.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
We just are in the process of going back under contract with them for Group X Pro and had to re-sign, and it include. This is what's so weird to me. They keep saying it includes a new API, but yet we don't really actually have a new API yet. I think for us, this was just the piece for us that connects us into eGym, because she did keep mentioning there was an entirely different one and a new contract for OpenY. And so for us, for our reporting team, there's some frustrations because they're trying to leverage the API to get into some Power BI reporting stuff that we do. And there's, like I said, there's like 4 of them. So, but I'm happy to report back with whatever else we find when we keep digging, because we've got to dig some obviously for OpenY, and then we just finished for the eGym piece with the Group X Pro piece. So.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have, excuse me, does anyone have any other questions or comments?
I do have a question, and I apologize. This is actually my first time sitting in these meetings. So a previous teammate of mine has been working on the Kansas City YMCA, and I believe my understanding is that we're the only Y website that is using the old version of the ActiveNet API. And he had asked about a timeline back in July on upgrading that API. And I was wondering if there was anything that would be stopping us from moving over to there, or if there's any sort of like blockers that would be stopping us from switching over.
You're wanting to move off of the ActiveNet API to the Group X one, or you're wanting to move to the new ActiveNet, just to clarify?
Oh, sorry. So we aren't trying to move off of the Group X or the ActiveNet, but we are on an older version of the ActiveNet API. And from what I was told was that there were some things that were needing to be updated before we could move over, but I think there might have been some confusion there. So I didn't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, without knowing your site, it's hard to specify what the challenges would be specifically, but we have worked with clients who've upgraded theirs before, so it is possible from a structure. There's legwork required to do it, and there will be hurdles inevitably to kind of walk your way through it, but it should be possible because I've seen it done before.
Okay, I think that answers my question. I just wanted to make sure there was, nothing that was stopping us from doing that legwork. And I think they answered it. So thank you.
No, you shouldn't be.
You can open up a conversation through the Slack channel as well. You might get some other ideas from people that aren't here today.
Okay. Would there be, how would I get that Slack channel?
You actually send an email to ycloud@ymca.net, and I'll get.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. See, looking for other questions. I don't see any hands up. Nothing in the chat.
All right, then. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. We're all busy, and you took all this time out to join us today. Thank you for your questions and for the interaction. And thank you for all the volunteers that we'll be working with on the design and strategy teams. Looking forward to that. And we look forward to our continued work to grow and improve this community and our web services product. Have a great day. Thank you.
Take care, team. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay.